This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Mosaic, a daily news program from Link TV, presents a selection of news reports from independent and state-controlled broadcasters from throughout the Middle East.
The bullets and the batons are out in force again in Myanmar, but they're not deterring thousands of protesters from hitting the streets for an 11th consecutive day.
Yeah, it's not been on the same scale as Thursday, but still, warning shots have been fired into the air and there are reports of protesters being beaten up.
We have a special correspondent on the ground in Yangon. He's been there for the past 48 hours and has seen firsthand the protests and the resulting violence. For his safety, we're not naming him, but he sent us this exclusive report.
For days they've led a country, the monks of Myanmar, taking to the streets, determined to challenge the military dictatorship. They raised Buddhist flags as they marched through Yangon and Mandalay, chanting religious mantras and calling for peace and democracy. Those calls have been answered by armed troops and police who blocked their way, preventing demonstrators reaching the holy shrines in Yangon, symbols of past resistance to oppression.
The wall! I want to go to the wall.
The soldier, they're trying to kill the many people that see, they shoot.
No democracy here. No democracy. No democracy.
No democracy. No democracy. We struggle democracy. We want democracy.
Very, very dangerous government. You understand me?
Yeah.
They are alive. Very, very dangerous government.
Monks were corralled here outside Sule Shrine by armed police. Then tension spilled over. The monks fled over a nearby wall and police used force against the group. But the monks, so used to calling for peaceful protest, hit back, hurling rocks and using catapults against the armed police. They responded by hurling rocks back and using their own catapults. Then they fired tear gas. Police reinforcements came in, but defiantly the monks and their followers edged forward in the face of the guns and continued their direct challenge. It's not just monks who join the demonstrations. Tens of thousands of ordinary people, young and old, are risking their lives by openly defying the military regime. The military has imposed a nighttime curfew and banned gatherings of more than 5 people. It made no difference. On Thursday, tens of thousands turned out to continue the protests.
This site at Al-Aqsa Mosque reoccurs weekly. Large numbers of occupation soldiers surrounding the mosque, blocking its entrances and preventing the worshippers from attending the Friday prayer. With us over the phone from Jerusalem is our correspondent, Mohammed Al-Sayyid. Mohammed, are the occupation forces still harassing the Palestinians and have any clashes erupted?
This is the Friday prayer in the month of Ramadan, and the situation today is different, with unusually small numbers of Palestinians present. Only about 75,000 people were able to reach Al-Aqsa Mosque due to the intensified restrictions at the Israeli checkpoints, at the entrances of Palestinian towns and inside Jerusalem as well. There are many restrictions imposed in Beit Lahim to stop the worshippers from using alternative routes to reach the mosque, so only a small number were able to get through. There are over 4,000 Israeli police officers and checkpoint officers spread inside the old city and around it to stop the worshippers from entering. As was the case last week, Those who were unable to reach Al-Aqsa held prayer at the checkpoint. Since prayer ended a little while ago, those worshippers who were able to reach Al-Aqsa started dispersing from the mosque into the city. There is a lot of traffic, especially as Israel is blocking most of the streets surrounding the old city, only allowing the vehicle carrying the corpse of Ashkenazi chief rabbi to drive by the mosque on the way to Zaytun Mountain for burial. This was yet another reason that prevented many worshippers from reaching the mosque or Jerusalem in general. Even now, people are not allowed to move. Even those who live in the 1948 areas cannot move around the city or return to their homes.
Muhammad Sayyid from Occupied Jerusalem, thank you. Today marks the 7th anniversary of Al-Aqsa Intifada in Palestine. In this 7th year, the Palestinian situation is extremely tragic. It is as if Ariel Sharon, who triggered the Intifada with his patronizing, defiling of Al-Aqsa Mosque, is still influencing the Palestinian-Israeli conflict from his grave. The situation has changed, and aggression remained rampant as yesterday's comrades turned into today's foes. Our correspondent in Ramallah, Amani Abu Ghantash, gives us a summary of the 7-year Al-Aqsa Intifada.
7 years have passed since Ariel Sharon defiled the Honorable Mosque in a visit that provoked the Palestinians and gave birth to the Al-Aqsa Intifada. These 7 years have witnessed dark times as the Palestinian-Israeli struggle changed into a Palestinian-Palestinian struggle. Internal fighting erupted between the movements of Fatah and Hamas, taking the lives of many men who were once brothers jointly resisting the occupation. Hamas took over Gaza and became completely estranged from the West Bank. Even without Sharon, the bloodshed did not subside, and Israel continued to assault the Palestinians in every possible way, assassinating, arresting and raiding. In these 7 years of the Al-Aqsa Intifada, over 5,000 people have been killed, over 60,000 have been wounded, and over 11,000 have been thrown in prison. Poverty and unemployment rose to more than 60%. This was further exacerbated by the Israeli siege over all the Palestinian territories. If we could turn back time, perhaps we could ask, did the Palestinians foresee this 7 years ago? A divided homeland with rival leaders fighting on the streets. Amani Abu Ghantash, Dubai TV, Occupied Ramallah.
أماني أبو غنطش تلفزيون دبي رام الله المحتلة.
Lebanese security agencies are still investigating whether the Israeli national Daniel Sharon was linked to an Israeli spy cell. Sharon entered Lebanon 11 times using a German passport. More details with Nisreen Hatoum.
Here, in the Al Sulam neighborhood, a southern suburb in Beirut, the Israeli national Daniel Sharon, who also carries a German passport, was detained. There are suspicions that he was involved in a murder case because a copy of his Israeli passport was found in the murder victim's home. This, however, also raised questions about the possibility that he might be linked to an Israeli spy cell.
There has been no evidence that he should be charged on security violations. There are so far no proof that he was spying for any Israeli agency. He was, however, found in a place where a crime was committed. When a man was asked about his friend who had committed suicide, he said that he had been with Daniel Sharon. Sharon was called for questioning, and it turned out that he was an Israeli national.
Sharon used his German passport to enter Lebanon 11 times in the past few years because he was involved in sexual relations with Lebanese men. He denied that he has been involved in any crime or that he was spying for Israel. Daniel Sharon's father told Israeli papers that he did not know about his son's homosexuality before he was arrested in Lebanon.
He cannot be tried by military court because he was not involved in security violations. The only violation he committed is entering Lebanon, since Israelis are banned from entering Lebanon. The military court is considering this violation, but he might be referred to a civil court, which may try him for his homosexual behavior or just deport him to his country, according to Article 88 of the Lebanese Penal Code.
It is worth mentioning that Daniel Sharon had served in the Israeli army and that he has been working in exporting and importing products between Israel and Europe. Daniel Sharon's story is not the first of its kind. Many Israeli nationals who carry other passports come to Lebanon. Is this due to lack of security measures that should be taken by the Lebanese security agencies, such as investigating with more depth the background of visitors? Or is this the natural outcome, given the ease with which those holding Western passports can enter Lebanon? Nasreen Hatoum, Al Arabiya, Beirut.
The foreign ministers of France, China, Russia, Germany, Britain, and the United States are divided on the issue of imposing new sanctions on Iran. The Russian foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, said that his country wants to give the inspectors of the International Atomic Energy Agency additional time before considering new sanctions.
Once again, Russia has expressed reservations about imposing sanctions on Iran for a third time. Before delegates from the 5 UN Security Council's permanent members and Germany met to discuss the possibility of imposing additional sanctions on Iran, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov announced that his country wants to wait until the International Atomic Energy Agency releases its report. Lavrov said that the agency has made clear progress and demanded that its inspectors be given additional time. Along with the U.S., France has been pushing for a tightening of sanctions on Iran, but its foreign minister acknowledged that there are divisions over the issue.
We are not completely in agreement on the issue of new sanctions on Iran in the UN Security Council. The problem is how to persuade our friends that the investigations conducted by al-Baradei will be completed. Also, each country must individually impose sanctions on Iran. These sanctions will ultimately lead to the passing of a new Security Council resolution. Thus, of course, we have to negotiate with the Russians.
The Russian position is based on an agreement signed between Iran and the International Atomic Energy Agency in August. The agreement includes a timetable for future visits by international weapon inspectors and specific steps that Iran must take to prove that its nuclear program is peaceful. This makes it theoretically impossible to impose new sanctions before December.
We expect all parties to support al-Baradei and the agreement that we have reached in order to make progress on this. Any other alternatives that are placed on the table might show a lack of willingness to support the negotiations.
The confrontation between Sergei Lavrov on one side and Rice and Kushner on the other side may become more pronounced. Washington hopes that it will be able to overcome this by persuading Russia of the need to impose new sanctions on Iran. Washington has succeeded in doing this in the past on 2 occasions.
A study by the Palestinian Ministry of Prisoner Affairs revealed the occupation force's brutal treatment of female prisoners, which contradicts all international human rights laws.
The long days and nights in prison are felt by the tearful and compassionate mother who remembers her mate, her brother, or her son. But what if this mother, sister, or daughter is the one behind bars? Today, there are approximately 110 Palestinian women in Israeli prisons suffering in pitch-black prison cells. A Palestinian study revealed that since its occupation of the West Bank and Gaza in 1967, Israel has imprisoned more than 10,000 Palestinian women. There are about 110 women in Israeli prisons. In order to make them confess, these women are treated in ways that go against international human rights laws. Some female prisoners are repeatedly given life sentences, while others are put in solitary confinement. The suffering of these women is ongoing, living under inhumane conditions in the occupying forces prisons. This treatment led to a group of women in Gaza to organize a demonstration expressing their solidarity with women in the West Bank, inside and outside of prison cells. They demonstrated against the abuse faced by women prisoners at the hands of Israeli soldiers, including torture, humiliation, and harmful physical searches.
The Ministry of Women's Affairs organized this demonstration because of the repeated harassment endured by women in the West Bank. These women are members of parliament, they are working women, and university students.
وعلاوة على سوء معاملاتهن فإن الأكل المقدم لهؤلاء الأسيرات سيء للغاية.
The food given to these prisoners is rat-infested and unfit for human consumption. The women are subjected to extreme cold and humidity in the winter because of a shortage of blankets and overcrowded cells. This is in addition to deliberate and systematic medical malpractice aimed at killing these women prisoners. Women with chronic illnesses and those who contract diseases while in prison receive minimal medical care. The women who demonstrated in Gaza asked legal and international agencies to help these Palestinian women by protecting them from the aggressiveness of the Israeli prison wards, who disregard any and all international human rights laws.
In cooperation with the government, the tribes of Al-Amariya, located in the Al-Anbar province, managed to expel the terrorist groups. The families that were displaced by these terrorist groups were invited to return to their homes. Some families accepted the invitation and received a warm welcome from their neighbors when they returned.
After the invasion of Iraq, terrorist groups began forcing civilians to leave their homes while killing others with the intention of creating ethnic strife. These groups terrorized civilians throughout the country, including residents of Al-Amariya. Many Iraqi families lost some of their members and faced injustices before they were displaced. Terrorists also kidnapped and killed several of their family members. During this time, Iraqis from different ethnic groups and religious sects united against these terrorist groups and forced them out of their neighborhoods. This united front of Iraqis brought peace and security back to the affected areas.
The Takfiri terrorist groups took control of the Persian Arab Center in the city of Al-Amariya and forced many Shiite families to leave their homes. The tribes of Baisa in Al-Amariya responded by expelling the Takfiri terrorist groups with the help of police. The apartments that were taken by the Takfiri terrorist groups are now being returned to their original owners. Some of these apartments are still vacant. We urge our Shiite brothers who were displaced from Al-Amariya to return to their homes now that it is safe.
The tribes of Al-Amariya in Anbar province fought to expel the terrorist groups in order to return peace to the area. This made a number of the displaced families feel safe enough to return to their homes.
It was a nice gesture from the tribal chiefs, the municipality, the police, and our neighbors. They gave us a very warm welcome. They stood beside us as if they were family. God willing, this will happen all over Iraq. I hope that I will not be the only one. God willing, all the displaced families will be able to return to their homes so they can live happily with their children.
وفي شهر رمضان المبارك شهر التسامح والسلام
During the holy month of Ramadan, the month of peace and forgiveness, all Iraqis pray that God will restore peace and tranquility to their beloved Iraq and unite them.
إلى ربوع العراق الحبيب ويجمع شملهم على الخير والمحبة.
Security situation in Al Amariya is satisfactory. The tribes coordinated their efforts with the police in order to establish security.
هذه دعوات العائدين إلى عامرية الفلوجة.
The residents of Al Amariya prayed that God would help their displaced neighbors return to their homes. The area is now safe, thanks to the efforts of all our Iraqi brothers who share the same blood and love for our homeland.
Ahmadinejad causes an uproar in New York City. The Western world condemns him, but is he even talking to the West? Is he a villain or is he a hero? The answers to these questions and more in Link TV's Mosaic Intelligence Report.
Ahmadinejad's stock rose even higher after his speech this week at Columbia University. People in Iran and the Arab world are angry at Columbia University President Lee Bollinger for insulting the Iranian leader during his introduction.
Let's then be clear at the beginning. Mr. President, you exhibit all the signs of a petty and cruel dictator. And so I ask you, why have women, members of the Baha'i faith, homosexuals, and so many of our academic colleagues become targets of persecution in your country?
In the Arab and Muslim worlds, you don't invite someone to your house even if he was a foe, then turn around and insult him when he answers at your door. The entire uproar over the Columbia event played right into the Iranian leader's hand. There was nothing new in his speech at this year's UN General Assembly. However, his presence dominated the opening of the meeting, attracting worldwide coverage. Before even appearing at the UN and Columbia University, the front page of the New York Daily News ran the headline, "The evil has landed," while the New York Post called Ahmadinejad the madman Iran president.
I call on New Yorkers to make the life of Ahmadinejad, as he is in New York, miserable.
Is he a madman? When Ahmadinejad says controversial things, the Western world condemns him, but is he even talking to the West? His primary audience is in Iran. The Iranian president faces re-election in 2009, and the wall-to-wall television coverage his visit has prompted in the United States won't do his domestic prospects any harm. As things stand, he has failed to deliver on the economic promises he made in his first campaign. That's why, for example, playing the nuclear card as an expression of Iranian national pride has always been part of his domestic political game. According to the Mer news agency, more than 200 Iranian lawmakers hailed his visit to New York as historical and memorable, calling his speech courageous and that it had made Muslims happy while angering Iran's enemies like Israel. Interestingly, most people are unaware that even though Ahmadinejad is the face of Iran's foreign policy, he doesn't have the ultimate power to set it. Under Iranian constitution, that power belongs to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who is also the commander of the country's armed forces. Ahmadinejad's rhetoric is also aimed at winning over the Arab world. But by this, I mean the Arab street and not the governments. Watch the reactions from ordinary citizens living in Cairo, Beirut, or Amman on Arab TV, and you will conclude that many Arabs view him as a hero. They admire Ahmadinejad because they believe he's brave enough to stand up to the United States and Israel, he's mindful of his people's interests, and he is in touch with the common man. Here in the United States, Ahmadinejad might be viewed as an international outcast, a provocateur, and at times a villain. But in the Middle East, they see him as a hero for fearlessly and courageously walking into the lion's den, according to the Daily Iran News. I'm Jamal Dajani for the Mosaic Intelligence Report. To learn more about this program or to send us your thoughts, visit us at linktv.org/mosaic.
Hi, I'm Salome Azizi, host of Bridge to Iran. Every day I tune into Mosaic, world news from the Middle East. It gives me much needed perspective on the world and a connection to current events that I just don't get anywhere else. If you value this as much as I do, join me today in keeping Mosaic world news from the Middle East on the air. Please go to linktv.org and click on the red contribute button, or call 1-866-485-8848. For the last few weeks, we've been asking you to support Mosaic. We need to raise $200,000 by year's end to keep this Peabody Award-winning program on the air. Thanks to hundreds of you, we're getting closer and closer to our goal, but still need your support. During our fall fundraiser, we're offering some special gifts for your donations during the Mosaic break. Become a sustaining supporter by signing up for automatic monthly credit card donations in any amount that's right for you. Make your contribution $20 or more per month, and we'll thank you with a Link TV official News Junkie t-shirt. It's for those of you who just can't live without your daily dose of Mosaic or Democracy Now! For $100, we'll thank you with the brand new Link TV 2008 Day and Month Planner, emblazoned with our logo. Use it to keep track of all your favorite Link shows. And for $300 donation, we'll thank you with a Mosaic gift pack. This includes the Link TV 2008 Yearly Planner, our classic Mosaic tote, and a staff favorite DVD such as The Dream of Sparrows or Paradise Now, plus one of our best-selling pledge books such as The Shia Revival by Vali Nasr. You're guaranteed to get a bag filled with some of the best pledge gifts illuminating the Middle East. And more importantly, you'll be ensuring that Mosaic is here for another season. And remember, you can find all of these gifts and more online as well. Just go to linktv.org and click on the red Contribute button, where you can make a safe, secure donation, or call 1-866-485-8848. Take the next few minutes to go online and make that call. I'll be back in just a moment.
Funding for Link TV programming doesn't come from advertisers or government agencies. We rely on individual donations. And whether they know it or not, these are the people that keep us on the air. So to everyone who stands out to help us bring the world together, thanks. Link TV, watched by audiences, funded by individuals.
Thanks so much for all of you who just made that contribution. If you're one of our loyal donors, maybe it's time to give again. A sustaining supporter? How about doubling your gift? Mosaic needs your support more than ever before. With your help, our goal is right there in reach. Thank you for watching and supporting Mosaic, world news from the Middle East.
Mosaic needs your support. Help us reach our goal to raise $200,000 by the end of the year to keep Mosaic on the air. Pledge your gift today at 1-866-485-8848 or linktv.org. Get more news about the Middle East online at linktv.org/Mosaic. The Mosaic webpage offers a complete archive of Mosaic programs, program transcripts, the Mosaic video podcast, and the Mosaic Intelligence Report, a weekly analysis of the hottest stories from the Middle East. The views expressed on Mosaic are those of the participating broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible with the support of viewers like you. Thank you. This program was brought to you by Link TV. for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. television network devoted to global and national news, with uncompromising documentaries and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.